What's up, guys? Welcome back to the MontyVerse. Today, we're here to check out the brand new trailer for The Flash. Nikki, are you ready?
I'm ready to speed to this trailer.
All right, well, let's enter the Speed Force and check it out right now. Oh, it's the trailer for the trailer.
Before the... But that makes sense for social media, not for the official video.
I lost my parents.
Wow.
That pain made me who I am. I spent a lifetime trying to right the wrongs of the past. As if fighting crime would bring my parents back.
Those bat suits are so cool.
You actually did it.
I can't imagine what you've been through.
I love you, Monkey.
You lost both parents in one day.
Barry! Call 911 now!
I went back in time to save my parents. But instead,
Oh my god.
I completely broke the universe.
Oh my.
If you went back and changed the past, this world must die.
If you changed the future,
Do you know what this symbol stands for?
it means hope, right?
I will help you fight Zod.
You want to get nuts?
It's so bright.
Let's get nuts.
Oh my gosh, I love it. So cool.
I have to undo what I did.
These scars we have make us who we are. I'm not meant to go back and fix them. Don't let your tragedy define you.
Oh my gosh.
No matter what we do, we're not going to be able to fix this. No! Nobody dies!
You're strapped to your parachutes. Where's yours?
Wow. Okay.
That was crazy.
That's very cool. All right. This trailer, more than anything, kind of reflects. I know this was originally titled Flashpoint or The Flashpoint, but this trailer, more than even the last one, reflects the comic book Flashpoint storyline. And I think I could see kind of the beats they're echoing and the story starting to take shape based off of what the things they're mimicking from that comic book storyline. But I'll get into that in a minute. Nikki, what did you think of the trailer?
I mean, I thought that was a blast. I think in terms of specific story beats, it wasn't drastically different from the first one in terms of, we know everything that happened with his parents and how he tried to go back, and Zod's here and Kara's here. But I think it felt more dynamic. Some of those effects were super cool. Seeing, like you said, seeing those suits was a really great moment with Bruce. And honestly, that scream that Kara lets out is pretty bone chilling.
Yes.
So, I mean, I still am excited for this movie, and this definitely got me a little bit more hyped up. But I was already feeling pretty optimistic.
Yeah, what's really cool is I'm skimming through the trailer as you're talking, and one thing that I did notice is the Michael Keaton's Batman's parents. The picture of them in this movie, not only do they look different from how they looked in the '89 film, but Thomas almost looks to be dressed. I don't know if this is an homage, but he's dressed kind of like Adam West's Bruce Wayne is dressed in the '60s Batman series, and I'm sure that's done intentionally.
I was gonna ask because it's been several years since I've seen Batman '89. I'm assuming, but yeah, I assume that was probably not the same picture or what his parents looked like at all.
No, which is really cool. I have to give a shout out to these suits, these Batman suits. Before we talk about Flash, let's talk Batman, because there's nothing that that says the Flash movie more than Batman. Am I right? But these suits are so cool, and and the implication here is that they're in chronological order.
Yeah.
They're in age order. So Michael Keaton's Batman technically had like 2 gray suits before he ended up going the all black and yellow suits that we see him in Batman 89.
Yeah.
So he has one that has the same type of cowl as the original Batman suit from Detective Comics. And then he has like a Neil Adams inspired suit, which is really, really cool. And then of course the 89 suit, the Batman Returns suit, and some like action figure looking suits like Desert Batman. And
I was gonna say, because that immediately makes me think of Batfleck with the goggled one, at least.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And that might have been an inspiration for that. But let's get to the main crux of the story, which I think is going to be definitely help the themes of the story, which is Barry Allen trying to deal with the trauma of his past, if you don't know Barry Allen's backstory, which is very new, it was his history was rewritten in the Flash Rebirth when he was brought back to life in the comic books, and it's that his father, young Barry comes home and he finds that his father is being arrested for murdering his mother, and we later on find out that his father did not do it. It was actually Eobard Thawne, the Reverse Flash, who did it as a way to get back at Barry, because he hates Barry Allen so much that his whole mission in life is to just find ways to torture Barry. So this was like his big like, haha, this is what I did to you. And this leads to the Flashpoint event in the comics, where Barry thinks that it is Eobard Thawne who has went back in time and changed the timeline, but we find out at the end of that comic that it was actually Barry who did these things and created this timeline where the world is under siege. There's a war between Atlantis and the Amazons, and it's all his fault because he went back in time and saved his mother, which caused a ripple effect through time that changed the timeline, events that happened before his mother's death and after. And that kind of looks to be the plot of this movie, which is really, really cool. And there's also a lot of other story beats throughout Flashpoint, especially with the second Barry. There's the second Barry almost, because guys, we're gonna get very sweaty right now, very detailed, because Barry in the Flashpoint universe enters that universe with no powers, because since his mother didn't die, he didn't become the Flash, yada yada yada. So he goes to Bruce to help him get his powers back in the Flashpoint comic, but he finds that Bruce is not Batman in this universe. It is Thomas Wayne, who is a much older, a lot more grizzled and angry Batman. But instead of doing that in this movie, it is obviously the Michael Keaton Batman who is playing the older Batman. And instead of Barry showing up with no powers, there is a second Barry Allen who has no powers, and they recreate the accident that gives him his powers, which we could actually see in this trailer with him getting hit by lightning strapped to the chair, which is something they're recreating almost exactly from the comic book. Yeah, and but is there anything you want to add to that? Well, before I keep going.
I mean, you know all the sweatier stuff more than me, but the trailer as a whole, actually, one thing that I think deviates a little bit is that scene especially. Some parts of it do seem a bit darker, not like aesthetically, but it's more violent. The punches are a lot harder, and like that scene in particular was definitely disturbing. So I wonder like how far it goes, because do we know what this is going to be rated?
Probably, I don't know, but I could assume based off this trailer PG-13.
Yeah, because there wasn't
at the minimum,
like no blood or anything, but that did stand out to me in that regard, because I definitely had no context for that scene.
Well, that scene in the comics and how it looks like it's gonna play out here, again, it seems like they're copying a lot of stuff directly. Is the first time they try it doesn't work, and Barry gets severely burned.
Oof.
And he makes Bruce try it again just because he's so desperate to find out what's going on. And it looks like that's kind of similarly what's happening here, because we can see Kara carrying what I'm assuming is the second Barry up into the storm to get hit again. I don't know. That's just what it looks like to me.
I think that seems reasonable, though.
Yeah, but it's looking at it here, it looks pretty gruesome. Yeah, definitely. And basically the final set piece of that story is a giant war between Atlantis and the Amazons, between those two major powers that will destroy the entire world. And here, that event is being replaced with the reemergence of General Zod, or this universe's first appearance of General Zod. So instead of that big invasion happening on land between these two earthly powers, it is happening in this movie from this alien power, because there's no Superman here to deter Zod's forces. And that's kind of seems to be what the climax of this movie is. But it leads to a lot of cool action set pieces. I think the main emotional crux, and I think the reason why I'm okay with Batman being so heavily featured in a movie like this, even though I think it's a little too early to feature the Flashpoint storyline in the film, is because Batman's all about trauma.
Oh my god, yeah.
And all about tragedy.
Like, the parallels were literally in the beginning of this trailer.
And we can kind of hear the younger, I mean, he's still pretty old in the DCEU, but the Batfleck saying, like, hey, trauma makes us who we are.
Yeah.
If you take that away, you're taking away everything that you are. So I think we're going to see that reflected not only in the two Bruces, but also in the two Barry as well, because these Bruces have two different ideologies on life and on tragedy and on trauma. And Ben Affleck's kind of like Barry. You have the power to stop, to change everything, but maybe you shouldn't. Whereas Michael Keaton's kind of like, you know what, if I was in your shoes, I would have did the same exact thing. And Ben Affleck's Batman probably would have, because look at what trauma did to them. It turned them into vigilantes. So there's that, but then there's also, we see that the two Barrys are conflicting at which I'm assuming is the end of the movie. I feel like this trailer reveals a lot, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, again, it expands upon things that we kind of already could infer from the first one. So, I mean, it looks cool. Don't get us wrong, but yeah. I think that's a valid point.
But we have the two Flashes arguing at the end of the trailer with, I want to say our Barry, or the DCEU Barry saying, we have to fix this.
Yeah.
To where the Flashpoint Barry is going, no one dies.
Yeah.
He can't live with that.
Right.
He can't live with the trauma that this Barry has lived with, because he never had to deal with that. He's had this perfect, simple life. And now you're adding all of the power and responsibility that this other Barry has to him when he never really had to process that. So I think that may be what turns this Barry into a darker mirror image of the Flash. We know it's the worst kept secret. There is another villain in this movie, and it is a what they're calling Dark Flash. And I think that this Barry may become that evil version. He gets corrupted in a way by the Speed Force, and he becomes this Dark Flash that our Barry, or I keep saying our, I don't know how to distinguish them at this point. The DCEU Barry must stop.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a really lovely, intimate story to tell there about grief and loss and trauma, and how even if and responsibility, and in a way it's the Spider-Man of it all, right? With great power comes great responsibility. If we had the power to fix our darkest moments, even though it would ruin the world, would we do it? Or even if it would harm, if we could turn back the clock and rewrite our darkest moments, would we do it even though we would damn 100 people, 1,000 people, an entire world's worth of people? You know, so I think that there are really interesting questions to be poised here. And philosophically, I think there's a really interesting story here. Thematically, I think there's an interesting story here. And I'm very excited.
Yeah. No, I think we were talking about this the other day. I think this has the makings. Obviously, we're also excited for Blue Beetle, but to easily be possibly one of the best DCU movies this year.
The Flash is one of my favorite characters. Wally West is my favorite Flash, but I love the Flash family. The Flash family legacy is really important to me as a comic book reader. That's why I love a lot of the DC comic characters, not more than Marvel. I love them both equally, but that's really what draws me to DC, and I'm drawn to Marvel for different reasons. But I really want to see this movie succeed because I want more Flash. I want the Flash to face the rogues. I want this movie to succeed. I really love the character, and I think that this is a great way to start the character's journey for the DCU, because this is going to obviously rewrite the universe. But we'll see, but I'm really curious to see what exactly happens.
Yeah, because we don't know how exactly it's going to end and in what regard it's going to lead into the stuff with James Gunn and all of that they have planned. But like you said, if nothing else, if it does well and if it is good, it at least bodes well for the Flash as a character, however they utilize him or the Flash family going forward.
Absolutely, 100%. But that's going to do it for us, guys. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a huge thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay up to date on all of our latest content. We have tons of video coming out every day. We have the new Transformers trailer coming later in the week, so check that out. And until next time, guys, stay versed.